Hello guys, West Country Explorer here. Today it's the 1st of March and in Britain it's St David's Day and it's also Self-Harm Awareness Day. Now, many years ago I used to be a self-harmer. Don't really talk about it all that much because at the time I didn't like talking about it, and nowadays I don't really tend to think about it all that much, sort of about the fact that I used to be a self-harmer. But lately, I've been thinking, sort of in the run up to today, I've been thinking, "Oh, I might just do a little YouTube video, just like talking about my experiences and all the rest. Just a little video to put out on Self Harm Awareness Day." Now, one thing I'm going to say right at the start of the video is obviously I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be open and candid about my experiences and some, I mean, if, what am I trying to say? I'm putting out a trigger warning. So if you're going through self-harming yourself, or you just recently recovered, or you're very sensitive to the whole issue, you might feel uncomfortable listening to what I'm talking about. So I'm just putting out sort of a warning right now. I'm just going to be talking openly and honestly about my experiences. So some of you might not feel comfortable watching and listening to what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm just putting that warning out there now. So yeah, I mean, I suppose a lot of people, the typical view of self-harmers is teenage girls. And as you can see, I'm not a teenage girl. I was 29 when I started self-harming. So, you know, quite a fair few years into adulthood, well over a decade into being an adult when I started self-harming. And I mean, what it was when I was about 28, when I was 28, I lost my job on the railway. My own fault. That's a different story, not for this video. So, lost my job on the railway. This was around about the end of 2008, and that's when the recession was really starting to kick in and all the rest. I mean, I was only unemployed for about a week. Managed to get a job as a like house cleaner, like room cleaner at a hotel, local hotel. But I mean, I really knocked me confidence. I was filled with feelings of self-loathing, self-disgust. This all related to the other story where I left the railway, and I had no feeling of self-worth, no self-confidence, nothing like that. It's just near enough rock bottom, and for a while, just really sort of struggled. You know, loads of really bad negative thoughts running through my head, all the rest. Real, real bad place mentally, real bad place. And then it was around about the summertime 2009. I I cannot for the life of me now remember what it was that possessed me to pick up a blade for the very first time and cut myself. I can't remember why I did it that first time, but what I do remember is the pain from the cut, and sort of concentrating on the pain of the cut and concentrating on the fact that I had to deal with the bleeding and the cut itself and all the rest. It silenced the negative thoughts. All those negative thoughts that were trampling around inside my head like a stampeding herd of heffalumps. That very first time I cut myself on my upper arm, it just silenced all that. For a brief moment, there was no longer a stampeding herd of heffalumps in my head. But like I said, it was only a brief moment. That cut only silenced it for a while. It soon came back. And on top of that was feelings of self-disgust over the fact that I cut myself. So long term, the fact that I cut myself, it made it worse. Um, being in a bad place mentally, I didn't, instead of thinking to myself, oh, that was a silly thing to do, instead I thought to myself, oh, I cut myself and that silenced the herd of Havelamps, I'll do it again. And yeah, you can see where it went. It was a vicious downward cycle. Cut myself, silences the noise in my head. The noises come back only worse, so I cut myself again, so on and so off. And it was very much a case of rinse and repeat, and so it went on. And it went on for about 2 years, that was self-harming. I mean, cutting was the main form of self-harming that I was doing. Secondary form of self-harming, yeah, there was a secondary form. I am going to talk about it, so I am going to say again, trigger warnings, so if you want to stop watching now, definitely a good time to stop if you want. Yeah, like I said, I was a house cleaner at a hotel. I remember there was this one time, because there was also staff quarters there, and so some staff could live in. I remember this one member of staff, he'd left, and one day I had to clean the room, and it was some kind of, I can't remember what it was, something like paracetamol, some form of paracetamols. Well, he'd left them in a drawer, so I took them home rather than chuck them in the bin. I remember that evening, I think it was something like a pack of half dozen left, or something like that. Sort of drowned them down with a big bottle of Budweiser, and I can remember it sort of left me with a bit of a buzz feeling. So that got me into my secondary form of self-harm. I could never, that brand of, I think it was some brand of paracetamol or something like that, but I kept trying to find that particular brand but couldn't, so I was trying other brands of stuff with alcohol to try and recapture that buzz. I mean, deep down I knew that it wasn't doing me any good, so on a subconscious level it was a form of self-harming and that. Well, like I said, sort of with the cutting, doing it over a period of 2 years. I mean, started on my upper arms and then my legs, and then it got to the point where I was working my way down my lower arms and that. And of course, when you get to your lower arms, it's sort of it's very hard to hide because I mean, upper arms covered by t-shirt sleeves, legs you're covered by the trousers and shorts, but lower arms, try covering up your lower arms in the summertime, especially if you're living in a warm climate, and it was as I was working my way down my lower arms, I got to the point where I was thinking, crumpets, this is getting hard to hide. So that was one of the motivating reasons behind me recovering. The the fact that I thought to myself, I can't carry on. I can't keep on hiding this. This is getting too stupid, too difficult. So, and obviously with the self harming, I was every now and again I had to go to the minor injury units at the local hospital to because obviously some of the cuts needed stitching and all the rest. So I can remember every time I went to the minor injury unit, the staff, they were never judgmental. They were completely 100% non-judgmental, and that meant a lot to me. That really, you know, that really struck a positive chord with me. The fact that they were so non-judgmental, and what they gave to me was valuable. The non-judgmental bit. I remember as I slowly started to recover, I just thought, I've received a lot from these nurses from the NHS. I want to give back. And as a result, I did actually spend 2 years in my spare time doing voluntary work at the local hospital. Once, maybe twice a week, it was just going around one of the wards serving hot drinks and to the patients. I mean, probably not much in the grand scheme of things, but it was a lot to that ward, you know. So yeah, those nurses being non-judgmental toward me had such a positive impact, you know, because it inspired me to then do 2 years volunteering at the hospital. Yeah. Why was I doing the self-harming? It wasn't suicide attempt. It was not a call for attention. It wasn't attention seeking. It was, like I said, purely to try and silence a stampeding herd of Haffalums, all the negative thoughts. He was just trying to silence the negative in my head. That's all it was. A lot of negative stuff screaming away in my head. It was just a maladaptive way of trying to silence it and deal with it. Yeah. So, like I said, I finally sort of healed, you know, and finally stopped managed to sort of get out of that destructive habits, found healthy habits. Well, I mean, nowadays life's good, you know. I mean, it's all going good. I soon managed to sort of get out of that mentally hilarious stage of my life, and I know now. I mean, nowadays the way things are. I mean, I've got loads of healthy, sort of positive habits, and I know that nowadays, if life takes a bit of a turn for the worse, and I start getting negative thoughts running around my head again, and if that stampeding herd of Affalumps return, I've got a lot of positive habits in place that I can lean back on to help me out. And I've got a loving, supportive wife behind me that will help me as well. So, yeah. So, if you know somebody that's self-harming, and like, you know, if you've like got a friend or a family member or somebody like that, and you know, if you know someone that's self-harming, you know, don't automatically think that they're trying to commit suicide. Don't automatically think they're just seeking attention. It's probably just a case of they're going through a rough patch, and for whatever reason they've turned to self-harming as a coping mechanism, because that to a large extent is what it is, a coping mechanism, a very self-destructive one, but yeah, that's what it is. It's not attention seeking. It's just their way of coping with whatever is going on in their life. So, I mean, as a sex, sorry, scrap that. I might have to try to do that. As an ex self harmer, dear me, sorry about that, guys. Yeah. As an ex self harmer, probably the biggest piece of advice that I would give to anyone who knows somebody who's self harming is this: don't be judgmental towards them. Be non judgmental towards them. The last thing a self harmer needs is judgment. Because, I mean, they're already most likely judging themselves. They're probably being their own harshest critic. They don't need someone else judging them. Yeah, so that would be my biggest piece of advice. Be non-judgmental. You know, so like I said earlier on in the video, when I was going to the minor injury units and getting help from the nurses, they were non-judgmental towards me. And that really motivated me in a positive way, motivated me to give back to the NHS. You know, and yeah. So, anyway, guys, bit of a serious video, a bit more serious than my normal videos. So, but I just felt motivated to do a little video talking about self-harming, and I just wanted to do my own little bit to help raise a bit of awareness. Like I said, I was 28 when I started, 29 when I started self-harming, so not your stereotypical teenage girl, you know. I think I think in the official statistics, it's more likely to be teenage girls. I think part of the reason why that is because probably men don't tend to sort of get their self harming dealt with. They probably hide it. I mean, the real figures, the genuine figures, not just the people who self harming is known about it, but the real number of people who are self harming are probably there's probably a lot more men self harming than we realise. Because men have got this attitude, stiff upper lip. You know, we don't talk about our problems. You know, we like hide our problems. We just keep buggering on. You know, so yeah. I think if we knew the genuine number of people who are self harming, sort of the number of men self harming and the number of women self harming would probably be a bit more equal than what the official statistics show at the moment. Anyway, I'm starting to waffle a little bit, guys, aren't I? Sorry about that. All right, yeah. So, guys, I'm going to bring this video to an end. And I hope you're all keeping well. And like I said, if anyone's watching this video, if you're self-harming, going through a difficult point, I hope things get better for you. I really do hope things get better for you. And I do genuinely hope that if you're self-harming at the moment, for whatever reason, I do honestly, genuinely hope you find a way to better times. And if you know somebody who's self-harming, you know, like I said, probably my biggest piece of advice would be non-judgmental. You may not feel you can help them. You may not feel like you can give answers to them or anything like that. But if all you can do is be non-judgmental towards a self-harmer, that in itself, I would say, will be a big help. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Bit of a serious subject, I know, but thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next video, which probably be Friday. If not, yeah, probably Friday. And in the meantime, guys, stay safe. Take care. God bless.